No one ever came to visit him until that nurse found the hidden page, the one that revealed everything. The pages of that journal whispered a life he had never spoken of, years spent in silence, a broken love, letters returned unread, and a secret carried for a lifetime etched in trembling handwriting. As Nurse Kate turned each page, she uncovered not just a man, but a forgotten heart. And that day, she made a choice. This man would not be forgotten. This time, someone would hear his story, and maybe, just maybe, the world would learn to remember its silent heroes. Welcome to The Last Stand. We tell stories that history almost forgot, stories of service, sacrifice, and quiet dignity. Have you ever known someone who lived a full life, but never spoke of it? A grandfather, an aunt, a neighbor, someone who carried memories in silence, never asking for thanks. Tell us in the comments. Because today, we're remembering one such man and the nurse who made sure the world would hear his story. Everyone in the hospice knew Nurse Kate. Not just because she'd worked there the longest, or because she was the one patients called out for in the middle of the night. It was because she listened. She had this way of sitting down beside someone, not rushing, and just being there. She carried a quiet kind of strength. Kate had seen many lives come and go, some surrounded by family, others without a soul at their bedside. Over time, she learned to carry each story with grace and let it pass through her. But nothing prepared her for what she found in room 203. The man who lived there was called Mr. Howard. No one visited him. No flowers, no cards, no phone calls. He was polite but distant, always thanking the staff with a nod. Never more. Kate tried to talk to him a few times, but he kept it short. He passed away quietly one Tuesday morning. There was no next of kin, no one to call. So, as was protocol, Kate went in to clean the room, fold the blankets, collect personal belongings. That's when she noticed the drawer beside the bed was slightly ajar. Inside, wrapped in a faded cloth, was a notebook. It wasn't just any notebook. The leather was worn, the pages yellowed. On the front, in elegant handwriting, were the words, "If anyone finds this, please read it." Kate sat down on the edge of the bed, her hands trembling slightly. She opened the first page. June 12, 1954. I don't know who will read this, maybe no one, but I've carried these memories for too long, and they weigh heavier each year. Kate blinked. The handwriting was steady, neat. Each page was filled with reflections, memories, and something else, something unspoken. She kept reading. July 2, 1955. They told me not to get involved. Keep your head down, they said. It's not your place. But how do you look away when a boy's being dragged out of school just for the color of his skin? Each entry peeled back a layer. The quiet, lonely man she'd passed in the hallway had lived a life filled with courage, heartbreak, and secrets. There were stories of protest marches in the South, of helping someone cross a border, of a friend who disappeared in the dead of night and was never seen again. Kate lost track of time. Outside the window, the sky turned from pink to dark blue. March 18, 1968. I loved him, and I hated myself for it. Not because of him, but because the world told me it was wrong. We kept it hidden. I buried it so deep, I almost forgot it was real. But it was. He was. Kate closed the notebook slowly. She sat in silence. For a man who had died alone, he had lived with more intensity than most ever dared. And now, in this moment, he wasn't forgotten. Not anymore. The next day, Kate returned to her shift early. She couldn't stop thinking about Mr. Howard's notebook. She'd placed it carefully in her locker the night before, unsure what to do next. During lunch, she found a quiet corner in the break room and opened it again. April 5, 1972. He wanted to write a letter to his mother. I remember his hands shaking, the pen blotting ink in the corners. What should I say, he asked. I told him to say the truth, but truth is dangerous when your truth doesn't fit the world's rules. Kate turned the page slowly. There were no names. Just he and she, as if the writer had spent a lifetime protecting identities. Still, the emotion was unmistakable, raw, powerful, and aching. June 3, 1977. We had one summer. Just one. Long walks by the water, jazz records on the balcony. He would hum along, tapping the railing with his fingers. And for those brief weeks, I believed the world had changed. That we didn't need to hide anymore. I was wrong. One line was underlined in heavy ink. They didn't need proof, just suspicion. The words hung in the air. Kate imagined the world this man had lived in, one where love had to be coded, disguised, erased. She felt a lump in her throat, an ache she couldn't quite place. It wasn't just sadness. It was mourning for a life spent in silence. She turned the page again. Taped inside was a faded photograph. Two young men, leaning against an old truck, laughing. One had his hand on the other's shoulder. The background was blurred, but their smiles were clear, free, unapologetic. August 19, 1982. He left without a word. No note, no goodbye. I waited, for days, then weeks. Then years. I still don't know if he ran or if something happened. Part of me thinks he did it to protect me. The other part still wonders if he ever loved me at all. Kate placed the notebook down. This wasn't just a love story. It was a story of erasure. Of a man who had spent his life erasing himself from documents, from memories, from his own voice so others could live freely. And yet, here in this notebook, he had written it all down. For someone to find, and now she had. That evening, Kate sat with the hospice director. "I think we should do something," she said. "Like what?" "I don't know. A small memorial. He deserves to be remembered." The director paused. "No family. No records. It's hard." Kate nodded, but she wasn't ready to let go. The next day, Kate printed a short obituary. She placed it in the staff lounge. "Mr. Howard, room 203. A man of quiet strength, forgotten by the world, but not by those who knew his story." By the end of the week, someone had left a white lily by his door. Someone else placed a copy of a jazz record in the hospice library, the same one mentioned in the notebook. And every day, for the rest of that month, someone read a passage aloud in the staff lounge before their shift. One morning, 2 weeks later, Kate received a package. No name, no return address. Just a brown padded envelope with a tiny sticker that read, "For the nurse who stayed." Inside was a single page yellowed, folded twice, and a small brass key. The page was from the notebook. It looked torn from the middle, as if once hidden. At the top, it read, "October 9, 1999. If someone finds this, then maybe I did the right thing, after all. There's a box under the floorboard in my closet, the third one from the left. I never had the courage to burn it. Maybe I wanted to be found. Maybe I just didn't want to disappear." Kate's heart pounded. Room 203 had already been cleaned. His things were boxed. But she asked the janitor to let her in just for a moment. She knelt beside the closet and carefully pressed along the baseboards. The wood creaked, then clicked. Inside was a small metal box. She used the brass key. It opened with a soft snap. Letters. Dozens of them. Postmarked, stamped, addressed. But never sent. All to the same man. Same name, same street. Over the course of 30 years, some were just a few lines. "I heard that song again today. The one you hated but danced to anyway." Others spanned pages. "I saw someone who looked like you, same hands, same tilt of the head when he smiled. For a moment, I forgot to breathe." And one simply said, "I'm sorry I never fought for you." Kate sat for hours, reading them all. They weren't just love letters, they were life letters. The only place this man had ever fully existed was on paper. She gathered the box and went to the director again. "This has to mean something," she whispered. And this time, the director didn't resist. The next week, Kate organized a small event in the garden behind the hospice. She didn't invite the press, just the staff, a few volunteers, the chaplain. At the center of a quiet table, she placed the brass box. Around it, copies of the letters, the photo from the notebook, a single white lily in a glass jar. Then she stood and spoke. He was a man who spent his life hiding, because the world told him to. But in his own quiet way, he left behind a map, a trail of memory, a story. And today we choose to remember him. There were no loud speeches, no grand gestures, just silence, and tears, and a promise, unspoken but deeply felt, that no one should be erased. That night, Kate placed the final page of the notebook, the one torn, and folded into a clear sleeve and pinned it to the staff board. It read, "If someone finds this, maybe I did the right thing." In the end, it wasn't medals or recognition that gave his story meaning. It was a nurse, a dusty journal, and a decision to remember what others had forgotten. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to be reminded that quiet heroes walk among us every day. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful true stories of service, sacrifice, and the hidden strength of those we often overlook. This is The Last Stand, where memories come alive and honor is never forgotten.